For decades, Australia sold itself as the world's easy life. Strong dollar, safe streets, endless sunshine. But now all of that feels like a lie. It's all because Australia is facing one of the worst housing crises in its modern history. Rents have exploded. Vacancies have vanished. And for millions of Australians, the idea of owning or even comfortably renting a home has become a fantasy. In just 5 years, weekly rents have jumped by $200, and that's a 43% increase. That means the average Australian tenant is now paying over $10,000 more every year just to keep a roof over their head. It's the sharpest surge in decades. And according to the data, households are now spending a record 33% of their income just on rent. So what happened? To understand how Australia got here, you have to rewind to 2022, the year borders reopened and everything changed. When the borders reopened, Australia welcomed back students, workers and migrants in huge numbers. The idea was to rebuild the economy and fill the gaps left by labour shortages. And it made sense. But there was one thing missing: enough homes. While the population grew by more than 1 million people in just 3 years, the number of new houses barely moved. Builders were already struggling with higher costs and material shortages. Interest rates went up, construction slowed down, and suddenly, the system cracked. The impact hit renters first. Vacancy rates dropped to record lows. In many cities, they were below 1%. Tenants found themselves in bidding wars just to get a place. Some offered months of rent in advance. Others gave up and moved back in with family. Students camped out in cars or shared rooms meant for one. Economists warned this would happen. You can't bring in that many people without building enough homes. Yet instead of easing off, the government decided to raise the cap for international students by another 25,000. The moment that policy was announced, the market tightened even more. Data shows how quickly things changed. Totality, the research firm that tracks housing trends, found rents have climbed more than 40% since 2020. And it's not just big cities like Sydney or Melbourne. Smaller capitals such as Adelaide and Brisbane are also struggling. The rise is everywhere. Migration has been the biggest factor. In the first 7 months of 2025, more than 348,000 long-term arrivals entered the country, the highest number ever recorded. That figure is up 5% from the year before and over 50% higher than before COVID. It's clear the pace of growth is outstripping what the country can handle. Meanwhile, housing supply continues to fall behind. The National Housing Supply and Affordability Council estimates Australia is already short by at least 200,000 homes. Within the next 5 years, that gap could widen by nearly 80,000 more. Builders can't keep up. Planning rules are slow, land is expensive. And the result is a market where ordinary people simply can't compete. Even property analysts are sounding alarms. CBRE, a major global firm, predicts the national vacancy rate could fall to just over 1% by 2030. If that happens, rents will climb further and the dream of affordable housing will disappear completely. There is, however, a country that faced the same crisis and found a way out. Canada went through an almost identical surge after the pandemic. Rents soared, migration hit record highs, and public frustration boiled over. So, last year, the Canadian government decided to act. It froze population growth for 3 years, tightened visa rules, and sent many temporary migrants home. The result was immediate. Rents began to fall, not once, but for 11 straight months. Canada proved that cutting migration can cool a housing market faster than any other policy. Australia's own data backs this up. The government's Housing Council found that if population growth were reduced by just 15%, the country would have a surplus of 40,000 homes within 5 years. The answer is right there in their own reports, but few are willing to talk about it. There's another challenge adding to the strain. While the housing system buckles, the United Nations is urging Australia to commit to massive emission cuts, 75% by 2035. It's a bold target, but for a country already struggling with high costs, it could make things worse. Energy prices are already among the highest in the developed world. More restrictions could send them higher, hurting both industry and households. Australia contributes about 1% of global emissions, yet faces heavy criticism, while countries like China, responsible for over 30%, continue to expand coal production. The imbalance is hard to ignore. If Australia shuts down its traditional energy sources too quickly, it risks losing what's left of its manufacturing base. That means fewer jobs, weaker growth, and even higher living costs. It's a painful pattern. Australia keeps chasing big global goals while its own citizens struggle with daily expenses. The focus on international image has left domestic realities behind. Every new policy meant to strengthen the country seems to hit ordinary people the hardest. For many Australians, life feels smaller now. The things that once defined the nation, affordable homes, steady work, the idea that anyone could build a future here are starting to slip away. The dream that brought millions to its shores is colliding with the limits of what the country can actually sustain. And that's the real tragedy. Australia isn't collapsing because it failed to grow. It's collapsing because it grew too fast, without thinking about what it could hold. The lucky country isn't feeling so lucky anymore, and it's so clear why. What do you think? Is Australia's housing crisis being engineered or just mismanaged? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to Media Mates. We put a lot of effort into making these videos, and your support really helps us keep going.